Metal Gear Survive has been getting a lot of flack recently. Nah, it's always been getting a lot of flack. But I still don't think it's entirely deserved. Like I've stated in my previous video back on the beta, Konami itself is a giant shit show. And while this game is a lot of reused assets, it's not terrible. But that was just a beta. So how does it stand now? Graphically, nothing much has changed. Frame rate's still running the same hot 30 FPS with drops. The monster designs are still pretty boring, but at the same time, kind of unique. Especially the bosses. The lighting in the dust is done pretty well, adding to atmosphere, especially with how the ambient noise is done. The ambience and sound is done pretty well. The music, on the other hand, it's forgettable and boring. A lot of people will just say this is Metal Gear Solid 5 with a zombie skin, and that's not entirely wrong. As for gameplay, the injury system is still in, but the only one that matters is bleeding, because you don't heal naturally. Base building is a lot better than it is in Metal Gear Solid 5, and the side quests, on the other hand, like rescuing survivors, it's really fucking dull. They could have had you at least rescue people who weren't fucking unconscious, you know, like a better game, Dead Rising. New classes and new abilities change up gameplay it's had. The melee combat remains a little stiff. Even with recovery animation cancelling, with the backstep, you know, the dash move I told you to get. You still end up with some rather cool things though, like kicking batting grenades away, tripping enemies, tackling them, and following those moves up with all sorts of cool things. Jumping off of stuff you built into a huge wave with the smash move. It's pretty sick. You really have to commit to your moves. The problem with that is sometimes the enemies, they don't like to have hits done, so they just tank through your hit and then fuck your day up. Fucking your day up? Sounds like a good segue for this next part. The actual survival and exploration elements in Survive. So you're put on this strange alternate world called the Dite, where a cloud of poisonous fog will kill you if you don't wear your gas mask. You're also constantly hungry and thirsty. Going forward through the world, you'll need your said gas mask, and maybe some food and drinks to continue your adventures. Or you'll die. For the first few hours, 2 or so hours, food and drinks are pretty annoying to get, as your best option for food is to scavenge for wild berries and drink some dirty water. And you'll see the occasional animal, which is somewhat rare, early on at least. I had a lot of trouble during the early parts of the game, because I was just trying to explore, and I was constantly hungry, thirsty. And being thirsty has a huge negative impact, more so than hunger, because it reduces your maximum stamina, which you need to sprint or to sneak, while hunger just reduces maximum HP, whatever. But once you get past the first 2 or so hours of the main story stuff, that is, you're granted your first farm piece, if you manage to pick it up, and the option to finally make some clean water. Then those problems, they go away. Just make soup, lots of soup. That brings me to the next problem with the gameplay. Really uninspired enemies. Much like I said in the previous video I had on Survive, the enemies in this are still really uninspired. As now you get a mortar guy, and he has a machine gun shotgun combo thing, and then there's a grabby enemy that grabs you, and then spiders. Woohoo. The side bosses are pretty different, as they're all pretty unique. because they're not just dudes. Yeah, I know Konami picked up Masahiro Ito from Silent Hill fame to do the monster designs, but they're still kind of not so good. I mean, I like them, but they're not that fucking good. The only other problem with the gameplay is the lack of variation in modes. For multiplayer, it's all base defense. Sure, you can quit right as you hit S rank and get all of the rewards, making things faster, but it's still a bore once you get kitted out enough. There's no very hard. There's no boss wave. It's just the same 3 waves. Over and over. I mean, sure, they spawn in different areas, but it's still 3 waves. So what are the good aspects of the game? Base building can be fun, if you're into that. The combat, while a little stiff, is enjoyable. Exploring the map is pretty fun too. You're not told where to go in the dust, and your markers disappear. It's easy to get lost and just find yourself exploring. And I really like that. Oh, fuck! Right, there's a story. If you don't want story spoilers, go to here. From what I can gather, survive stories like this. The story is about you, or your soldier. You. Going into an alternate universe to do something. As told by a guy called Good Luck. You don't really trust him because you don't really know who the fuck he is or what the fuck is going on. And that's understandable. So you rescue a few people and everybody wants to get the fuck out of Nightmare Land. So you start building energy diggers to open up a wormhole to get the fuck out of there. Then you rescue this amazing crippled programmer kid. And at that point you're told by a new character that Good Luck is a bad guy. And he's using you. Then it turned out Good Luck committed suicide? Or maybe was murdered? Something like that? But he recorded stuff ahead of his death or something? So the guy who told you Good Luck was a bad guy was actually the bad guy? And when you opened up the new portal, you got sucked into a new area? And that guy was planning to bring the Lord of Dust to our world? The regular world? So you meet 2 new characters, a crazy guy with a shotgun, and a guy who seems like a good guy and probably isn't. Turns out the crazy guy with the shotgun was a good guy, and Good Luck also just wanted you guys to kill the Lord of Dust, who apparently is opening up a wormhole, not to an alternate dimension, but back in time, to eat everyone, and create the Dite, making a perpetual time loop. You still following me? I'm not following me. This is weird. So you take Metal Gear Platypus to go fight the Lord of Dust with its railgun. They didn't make a new Metal Gear for this game. Even though they have a Ray model? Why didn't you make a new Metal Gear? It could have been like a cool corrupted Metal Gear thing with like crystals and stuff. Whatever. Then the good guy, who actually wasn't a good guy, who was also from the beginning of the game, who you tried to save and lost your arm to, was actually like made of nanomachines, and the dust was also made of nanomachines. Remember when I said poisonous fog? Yeah, that's not poisonous fog, it's nanomachines. Then you kill him. Then you have to kill the Lord of Dust. So you send the little crippled boy back in time with all the information you've gathered up till now to save you all. And then he grew up to become Good Luck, and he never ended up saving you guys or something. And then you try to kill the Lord of Dust, but it doesn't understand the concept of death, so it doesn't die. Then the AI pod sacrifices itself, sort of, because it understands what death is, I guess. And then you kill it, and then the AI pod's actually okay. And then you're stuck in the Dite forever, unless you take the alternate ending. That one's better. And then the game's pretty much over. You unlock your endgame stuff and unlock your new classes and whatnot. That's it. Story is, I guess, about on par with other MGS games. Maybe dumber. I don't know. Not entirely sure. As for microtransactions, they're not as bad as people say they are. Paying for a save slot is incorrect wording. It's paying for another character, much like how some MMOs do it. It's an online game after all. The real problem is the game's always online. That's a fucking shame. But you could buy more loadouts. Just change it at the terminal. That's negligible. These loadouts don't mean anything. But you could pay for more squads for deployments. With as far as I've gotten in the game, which is 40, 50 hours, I haven't seen the need to use them at all. I've used them once for a trophy. And as far as I can tell, it's entirely optional. So where does this leave the Metal Gear franchise now? Probably in some dumpster somewhere, right next to all the old Konami games, you know, Suikoden, Boktai, Contra, Castlevania, all that jazz. This game isn't bad, though. It's flawed. It's kind of mediocre. But it's enjoyable. You know, kind of like how putting pressure on your dick while you're jerking will make your winky feel good. It feels good, but then you realize you might have fucked up your dick forever. $40 is way too much for this game.